This module will address how organizational traits can contribute to and affect the way that projects are managed. Projects are performed in nearly every industry, and therefore there will be many differences in the environments in which they are performed. One major factor that will change the way a project is managed is the style or structure of the organization that is performing the project. Some organizations specialize in managing more operational style work, while others may be more structured for project management. The structure of an organization can have a major impact on the role and authority level held by the project manager, their control over resource availability, their control over the project budget, and the level of administrative support available. The two major types of organizational structures, functional and projectized, represent the two extremes. A functional organization will have little to no formal project management, while a projectized organization may specialize in formal project management. Most organizations are somewhere in the middle. These can be referred to as matrix-style organizations. A weak matrix organization is closer to functional, while a strong matrix organization is closer to projectized. The balanced matrix organization may be halfway in between. Finally, a composite matrix organization describes one that shares attributes of weak matrix and strong matrix at the same time. Let's explore some brief examples and the strengths or weaknesses that each will lend to completing projects. In the functional organization, the staff is grouped by their department specialty, and projects are often initiated to help fill an internal need. One of these specialists may be asked to lead the effort of the project, requiring the help of other team members, some of whom may be outside of their functional department. Since our newfound project manager or project coordinator is not the boss or supervisor of the supporting team needed, they will have to ask other functional managers for the time needed from the individuals. Since the PM is working with borrowed resources across these functional departments, their overall authority and control over the project will be minimal. As a project manager within a functional organization, it is useful to understand these limitations and plan for the challenges that will need to be managed. On the opposite end of the spectrum, in a projectized organization, staff is grouped by the projects they will be working on. In this organization, team members are only hired when there is project work to be done, and their efforts are committed to the work of the project. In many cases, when their role on the project is over, they are released from the organization. In this scenario, the project manager will be more directly involved in the selection and management of their team, having nearly full authority and control over their team members. A project manager in a projectized organization is also more likely to be provided with administrative support and oversight. The balance matrix is halfway between the functional and projectized organizations. In this organization, the PM is more likely to be managing the project full-time and have resources that are dedicated to completing project work. However, they may be sharing a large pool of resources with other projects. Resource prioritization may be administered by a program manager or PMO based on the prioritization needs of various projects. A composite organization shares attributes of weak matrix and strong matrix at the same time. For example, a project manager may have a full-time and dedicated project team. However, they may also require effort from functional resources which need to be borrowed. Some composite matrices may lend more or less formal authority to the project manager. While you cannot be expected to understand the subtle differences that separate weak matrix from balanced or balanced from strong, it is useful to understand the difference between the two extremes and how the formal authority of the project manager will change based on the style of organization they are in. There are two commonly used terms to describe attributes that must be considered throughout nearly any project management process: organizational process assets and enterprise environmental factors. Organizational process assets describe any processes, procedures, and other historical data that exists within the performing organization or other stakeholder organizations involved in the management of the project. Project planning will benefit from organizational process assets to help shape the plans for project management, utilize best practices, standardize, and comply with organizational policies. It is very important that the project team examine historical data, also known as lessons learned, to prevent from reinventing the wheel and to learn from past mistakes. While organizational process assets are commonly found as an input, we also have the responsibility to continuously update these throughout the project lifecycle, so we will discuss them as an output later in the course. Enterprise environmental factors represent conditions that shape the project environment and may influence it either in a negative or positive way. Since the project environment is continuously changing, it must be well understood by the project team to help manage uncertainty. Some examples of enterprise environmental factors include the culture of the performing organization as well as other project stakeholders, industry standards representing best practices that should be followed, regulations representing a formal mandate, usually by federal, state, or local governments, existing infrastructure and resources, such as facilities, equipment, or staff, as well as geographic, economic, and political climates. Together, enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets will serve as inputs to nearly all project management processes discussed in this course. In our next section, we will take a closer look at how project management processes are defined by the PMBOK guide.